Okay, so if you've ever owned a houseplant, I guarantee you've heard this piece of advice. You have to mist your plants, right? It's like the #1 tip for making your home feel like a lush jungle. But what if I told you that this super common, well-meaning advice is actually, well, kind of useless and maybe even a little bit dangerous for your plants? Let's get into it.
So I was scrolling through a big houseplant forum the other day, and someone asked this exact question. They were doing everything right, misting their alocasias, their pothos, all the classics, but they were just confused. And you know what? It turns out this is a massive debate in the plant community, and the real answer is probably not what you're thinking.
And yeah, if you do a quick search online, you basically get this. It's a total tug of war. Half the blogs are screaming, mist your plants, while the other half are yelling, whatever you do, don't mist. It's so confusing. So what's the real story? Let's dig into the science and settle this thing for good.
I found this analogy from a Reddit user, and honestly, it's perfect. They said misting a plant is like splashing water on your face when you're in the middle of a desert. It doesn't actually make the desert less hot or dry, right? But for a second, it feels good. It feels like relief. And that's pretty much the best argument for misting. It's a quick, direct hit of moisture that feels helpful.
But here's the million-dollar question. Does that momentary relief actually do anything beneficial for the plant? To figure that out, we have to zoom way, way in. We need to look at what's happening with that single water droplet on the surface of a leaf right down at the microscopic level.
Okay, so every single leaf is covered in this waxy, waterproof layer called the plant cuticle. The easiest way to think about it is like a built-in raincoat. Its main job isn't to let water in, it's actually designed to keep the water that's already inside the plant from escaping.
And the science is super clear on this. Research shows that this waxy cuticle is a huge barrier. A leaf is not a sponge waiting to soak up water. That waxy coating makes it incredibly difficult for water to just seep in from the outside. And really, this is the biggest scientific problem with the whole idea of misting.
All right, so fine, the leaf isn't really absorbing the water. But what about humidity? Does misting at least raise the humidity in the air right around the plant? Well, technically, yes, for about 5 to 10 minutes. That's it.
The hard truth is that tiny bit of mist just vanishes. Poof. It evaporates into the much drier air of your home almost instantly. It's kind of like trying to fill a swimming pool with an eyedropper. It just doesn't create that stable, lasting humidity that tropical plants actually need to feel at home.
So, we've pretty much established that misting is ineffective, but here's where the story takes a darker turn. Could it actually be harmful? To answer that, we have to look at this fascinating concept from agriculture that really highlights the high-risk part of this whole thing.
Believe it or not, we have to go all the way back to 1965. Agricultural scientists were trying to figure out why certain crops kept getting sick, and they found that constantly sprinkling the leaves with water created what they called rainfall islands, these tiny, super humid microenvironments on the leaf surface that were the perfect breeding ground for disease.
And this is what that looks like. These are bean pods that are just covered in a disease that absolutely loves wet leaves. This is the real-world consequence. And it's exactly the kind of risky environment you might be creating on your own houseplant's leaves every single time you mist.
And we're not just talking about one obscure problem. That old report listed a whole gallery of nasty pathogens that thrive when leaves stay wet. And a lot of these are the exact same culprits that cause all those mysterious spots, rots, and mildews on our houseplants.
So, the science from the agricultural world is totally unambiguous. Roots are meant to be in water, leaves are meant to be in the air. When you keep leaves wet for long periods, you're basically just rolling out the welcome mat for all sorts of fungal and bacterial infections.
Okay, so we've looked at the very temporary, tiny benefits, and we've seen the very real, scientific risks. Let's put it all together and finally solve this great houseplant misting mystery.
When you just lay it all out side by side, the picture gets really clear. In the pros column, we have things that are mostly about how it makes us feel. You know, it might help a new leaf unfurl. It cleans dust off. But then you look at the cons column. It doesn't actually raise humidity in any meaningful way, and worse, it creates the ideal conditions for disease. The math just doesn't add up.
So, if we're officially breaking up with our misters, what are we supposed to do instead? Don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. There are much, much better and safer ways to give your plants the humidity they're craving. Let's look at what actually works. Let's just be blunt here. When it comes to boosting humidity, misting is a high-risk, low-reward game. It's time to put down the spray bottle and pick up some methods that the experts actually recommend.
So what should you do instead? Well, first up, the gold standard, get a humidifier. It's really the only way to get consistent, measurable, all-day humidity. Another great trick is to just group your plants together. They naturally release moisture from their leaves, creating their own little humid microclimate. You can also try using simple pebble trays. Just a tray of water and pebbles under the pot creates a nice little pocket of humidity as the water evaporates. And finally, the easiest one of all, location, location, location. A bathroom or kitchen is a naturally humid spot, and a much better home for a tropical plant than a dry, drafty living room.
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. We mist our plants because we want to help them, we want to be kind to them. But the science shows that this little act of kindness might actually be doing more harm than good. It turns out, the real secret to humidity isn't about getting the leaves wet. It's about changing the air around them.